Hello again. Happy Thursday. I realized 30 seconds ago that I haven't actually introduced myself at all in the podcast. My name's Angela. I am a health and life coach. I have my own business, Alignment Transformational Coaching. You can check that out at alignmenttransformationalcoaching.com. All of these podcasts get posted there, lots of other things, and I'll be continuously putting up like new resources, and a list of my favorite books is on there and all kinds of things. More about what I said last week about the liver. Eventually, I would like to be putting up on my website more information as I create content for that, or adapt content for that from the people that I'm learning from. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about self-compassion. So in November, the whole month of November, actually, I was in mental health treatment. I started in a depression recovery program, and I bumped over to the trauma recovery program. And I share that with you because while I was there, I learned something called self-compassion, and it was completely transformational for my life. And I really want to share that with you and some like larger thoughts about that. So first, like what is self-compassion? Self-compassion, this concept of self-compassion and like a huge project around self-compassion was created by Dr. Kristen Neff. And you can look her up on YouTube, and she has a cool talk on there about self-compassion, which is what I watched and how I was introduced to self-compassion. But I'm reading from her website, in a definition of self-compassion. It's a lengthy article, and this part says, instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? Okay, so I want to talk for a second about where we get this idea that we're supposed to be perfect from. I got this identity of needing to be perfect from a concept and a belief around this idea that I have received undeserved love, aka grace, and thus I now must never make mistakes. I must be holy, interpreted perfect. Basically, you are never allowed to sin again because you have received grace. Now, that's interesting to me because the whole thing about grace is that you've received it as a free gift that has saved you from sin. So being taught that and being taught, but now you can never sin, you can't do anything wrong, doesn't make any sense to me at all. Which then led me down this path of, if grace is undeserved love, then I'm not deserving of love. And that's going to be a whole different conversation. And I've written about that before. But I don't know if it went on the internet anywhere. But anyway, so this concept of undeserved love and this concept of perfection get really muddy in my head. And so as I've really worked on that for myself and with other people, I've come down to, I don't actually have to be perfect. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing that Jesus ever required of me. That's why he came in the first place, is because he knows that I can't be perfect. I don't even want to be perfect. Like, that sounds A, boring, B, unhealthy. Like, if I'm constantly striving to be perfect all the time, I'm not living life. And our job on this earth is to be alive. It's not to be perfect. It's to be alive. It's to be human. Like, we were created human to be human. We weren't created to be human to be God. We were created as humans to be human. Does that make sense? We're created as who we are to be who we are, which that's another broad concept that I could talk about for a long time. And again, like I will table that for another day. But back to this self-compassion concept, I want to talk a little bit about like, instead of trying to be perfect, like we think about, well, I think about this verse. You know, somebody comes up to Jesus and says, what is the greatest commandment? And he says to love the Lord your God above all else, like with your heart, soul, and mind. And the second is like it. The second is like it. Love others as you love yourself. And I know that I've talked about this before. As you love yourself. Not love others, period. Love others as you love yourself. So if I'm not practicing self-compassion, I'm not loving myself, and thus I'm not capable of loving others in the way that I've been commanded to do so. So how do we learn to practice more self-compassion? One of the things that I did in treatment that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is I was asked to write a self-compassion letter. And this self-compassion letter is about, it's basically like you're writing a letter like someone, from the perspective of someone that loves you unconditionally. They're there for you, they support you, they want the very best for you, and they're writing you a letter encouraging you to basically keep going and to be nice to yourself. But this letter is to you, from you. And writing it was challenging. I kind of used a song to help me form my self-compassion letter. That song is Better Days by Dermot Kennedy. He's super cool, and you should check him out. I will link Better Days in the description of this video. And this letter was really helpful for me. I personally wrote mine in a card that looks like this. You are capable, brave, and strong. And then I wrote my self-compassion letter on the inside. And then I ended up having to write an addendum to it, or like an addition. I didn't change anything. I just added a piece. And so I wrote that on a piece of paper that I have, currently I have it paper clipped to this card, so that when I read my self-compassion letter, I can always go back and read this part as well. And I have it sitting on my desk, just like literally within arm's reach of where I'm sitting. And it's there to remind me, even if I don't read the whole letter, even if I don't read any of the letter, I see the words, you are capable, brave, and strong. And I know what the inside of this card says because I've read it enough times. It's become a habit. It's become a mantra. It has become something that's ingrained in my head to help me remember to love myself. And I had taken my desk down for a little while, and I was recording upstairs in a different place, and I didn't have my self-compassion letter out. I didn't have my vision board out, and I really noticed that I wasn't being as kind to myself. And today I reset up my desk. Now I'm recording down here. I pulled out my self-compassion letter. I looked through it. I am looking at these words, you are capable, brave, and strong, and I'm remembering who I am. I'm remembering what I'm here to do. I'm remembering that I need to be kind to myself before I do anything else. And that has really made the difference today. And I hope and I encourage you to write yourself a self-compassion letter. If you want more thoughts or ideas or conversation or like guidelines on how to do that, feel free to reach out. I will put my email address also in the description of the video. These are kind of the things that I'm going to be talking about in the next few weeks. Self-compassion, being kind to ourselves, this idea of undeserved love, this concept of perfection has been a theme the last couple weeks. And I just want you to know, like, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be yourself.